இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை ஏற்பாடு செய்த அறிவு சமூகம் மற்றும் தமிழ் முதல்வன் அவர்களுக்கும், ஆல்சோ என்னோடு சக பேச்சாளர்களாக கருத்தாளர்களாக இருக்கக்கூடிய வழக்கறிஞர் சவிதா முனிசாமி அவர்களுக்கும், பாலசுப்ரமணியம் பேராசிரியர் பாலசுப்ரமணியம் அவர்களுக்கும், ஹரிஸ் வாங்கடே அவர்களுக்கும் மற்றும் பிரபாகர் அவர்களுக்கும் இந்த கலைப்படைப்பின் கலையை உருவாக்கத்தில் மிக முக்கிய பங்களித்த அந்த தோழர், அவருடைய பெயர் ஆர்ட் டைரக்டர் அவர்களுக்கும் எனது நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். எனக்கு ஐ வாண்ட் டு தமிழ்ல அவ்வளவா கோர்வையாக பேசி எனக்கு பழக்கம் இல்லாத காரணத்தால் நான் ஆங்கிலம் தமிழ் கலந்து பேசலாம் என்றிருக்கிறேன். என்னவென்றால், இந்த ரஞ்சித்துடைய படங்கள் தொடர்ந்து இரண்டாவது படம் முதல் அவர் இந்த சமூகத்தில் இந்த இந்திய திரைப்படத்தில் அல்லது உலக திரைப்பட அளவிலேயே தன்னுடைய கவனத்தை அவர் பக்கம் ஈர்த்து கொண்டு இருக்கிறார் என்பது தவிர்க்க முடியாத உண்மை. ஜாதியை சார்ந்தும் அல்லது விளையாட்டு சார்ந்தும் இதுதான் முதல் படமா என்றால் அது இல்லை. சென்னையை சார்ந்து, சென்னை வாழ்வியல் சார்ந்து, ஜாதி சார்ந்து, விளையாட்டை மையமாக கொண்ட பல்வேறு திரைப்படங்கள் இந்த தமிழிலும் மற்ற இந்திய மொழிகளிலும் வந்துள்ளன. ஆனால் குறிப்பாக சொல்ல வேண்டுமானால் புதுப்பேட்டை, வட சென்னை, விக்ரம் தற்கால, அதே மாதிரி முன்பு 70களில் 80 60களில் கூட ரிக்ஷாக்காரன் போன்ற படங்களும் மிக முக்கியமாக சென்னை மக்களுடைய the film has portrayed the caste and Chennai city people, Chennai city inhabitants, as well as the post-sports-centric thematic portrayal was not new to Tamil cinema or Indian cinema. But what is new in Tamil cinema and Indian cinema? The new trend or a new phenomena in Tamil cinema and the Indian cinema is the way in which the marginalized and the Dalit are being portrayed. The way in which Dalit have been, and the Indian cinema is a phenomenon. இதற்கு முன் before Ranjit entry to Tamil cinema, the caste, the Chennai city inhabitants have been portrayed in a stereotype manner. Not only Chennai, but also Tamil, the marginalized community or even working class people have been portrayed in a much more stereotyped and giver and receiver and benevolent. All this, and also feudal cultural portrayal was a very, very dominant in the Tamil film history and Tamil film Tamil film as a whole. But whereas Ranjit has completely depart from the earlier stereotype projection of the community, projection of the social life and social setting, is a phenomena. Boxing is the center of the theme in the Sarpatta Paramparai. But in the boxing, the central theme of boxing already be there in Jananathan's film on Bhugolam, where J.M. Ravi was acted, and that film was mostly is a propaganda film of a clear-cut communist ideology and question me and so on and so forth. Whereas this is not any propaganda, a political propaganda film, but rather the Sarpatta film, Sarpatta Paramparai, the movie which is clearly and more nuancely intertwined the way in which the people culture in North Madras, particularly North Madras, and also the way the life experience have been also more importantly objectively, because he has been clearly Ranjit politics has been well known, but Ranjit did not interfere in the portraying the North Madras, portraying the people's life as it is. Otherwise, the way in which the character, the Vatyar, the teacher, the characters, they are as it is. And I know this particular, the popularity of boxing in Chennai during 80s, early 80s and the late 70s. That is, I've been I come later. That in this film captures the internal critique, insider critique or internal critique, one could say, that within the community, within the working class community, and majority of them constituted by the Dalit, have their own negative fall in a way in which the internal betrayal, internal elements who have been detrimental in the progress of the community or progress of the society. That is why what he has very beautifully told in Kabali. You all know story, crab and the pot story. There are some crab in the pot, and there are some crab try to escape from the escape and come out of the pot. But the escape from this thing. This is a very jet in this film as well. That is what the Raman and the other inside that Sarpatta, within Sarpatta Paramparai, there is an instrumental in terms of disturbing the victory of even in Madras and also in Kabali. And even continuously, this projection, Ranjit was giving a political message, very strong political message, which many of them may notice, but I want to try. I want to bring your attention to those things, those elements of the internal critique. Second thing in this film is a very particular, and I bore this point for Gajendran Ayadure. Professor Gajendra Ayadure working on how significance or memory engaged in the Western academia, theoretical understanding. கோட்பாட்டு ரீதியாக இந்த மெமரி என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய மனிதனுடைய ஞாபக சக்தி, அதன் மூலம் எப்படி ஒரு ஒரு சமூக பாசிட்டிவ் முற்போக்கான சிந்தனைகள் இருந்ததை மீண்டும் அதை அவர்களுடைய போராட்டங்கள், அவர்களுடைய வாழ்வியல் நுணுக்கங்களை இந்த மெமரி மூலமாகத்தான் நமக்கு கிடைக்கும் என்று மிக அருமையாக அவருடைய அந்த தியரிட்டிக்கல் நுவான்ஸை அவர் கூறியிருப்பார். அதுபோலதான் the same way in which the Sarpatta has been reconstructed the history of 70s and 80s, particularly 70s, late 70s, and is brought to the glory of to us in a much more nuanced and detailed manner, which help us which help us the marginalized and working class people. We are not merely a weeping babies. We have the pride history. We have a positive history. We have a very powerful, cherished moment in the history. That is where one can get the internal energy to challenge and to to take forward to the society and struggle. This is a very, very important aspect as the Ranjit has done. And not only I'm fan of Ranjit, but it is a fact. It is a fact how film should be. Because film is not just as like a film. A film has to have its own and its own potential to make the audience, make the people to relate their life into the stories in what is told in the screen, what they seen in the screen. In such a way, I have relate myself when I reached the first time in Chennai. That time it's the early 80s, but I think early 80s when MGR was just to become a chief minister, and we stayed at a Molakadai and one of our relatives' house, and the relative is my aunt and aunt sons, and my cousins are one or two cousins are boxer, and literally they have making a arak producing in their own backyard of the house. And we went to first show movie and come back, and police were broken all the arak pot and all this thing. And we have been interrogated on that night around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Then my mother was first time, myself and mother was first time in Chennai and scared. And we went the next day, morning we went to other relatives' house. But that is where, and he was a hardcore DMK follower, and also MGR, because the one cannot distinguish that very categorically MGR and the DMK in those days. Even though MGR started a new political party, but this combination DMK, the people vote for ADMK, or people vote for DMK and remain as a MGR fan. This is what those days was very, very significant. Similarly, you might have witnessed the during the marriage procession and also in the marriage, Kabilan and the Mariamma's marriage, people are gifting the photograph of Periyar, Ambedkar, and Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and also Annadurai and Karunanidhi, and also I think Marx as well, because this is a very, very significant in the 70s and early 80s, not only in Madras, but also across Tamil Nadu, where the working class the marriages, the youngster who are first generation learner or first generation educated, they have a gifting to the couple like long poetry and also what they called Valthu Madal, Tirumana Valthu Madal, along with this photograph. And that was a phenomenal history in Tamil culture and working class culture particularly. But these things never been seen in any cinema earlier. And similarly, I think Advocate Sabita very emphatically referred, because I read her review in Facebook very emphatically she has reflected. And she said many more Mariammas are there, because Mariammas that not only Kabilan was shocked when the Mariamma danced in the night after the marriage, first night, I suppose. And which is unbelievable. Ever in Indian cinema have seen such a path-breaking portrayal. Though there is, because someone may ask, no, this is all already done in Batragali film in the past, and there was a song Ketela Ange Patela Inge, and that song is only, and it was a marriage couple of a Brahmin that also very late after marriage, so many days after that, she want to seduce the husband. So that is what that feel the song. But here it is a celebration. So these are the nuance structure. This is a nuance structure is done an excellent portrayal in the Ranjit film. And another subtext in the film and subtext and the subtle politics was very, very nuanced It is fine tuned. That is the artist. An artist, whether a writer or a poet or a painter, they have to they have to convey the message. They have to convey the message not very directly. That has become a propaganda. But it is not a propaganda. It is something you have to infer, you have to apply your mind to understand what is the subtext, what is the subtle politics and satire. That is where the each and every character, it is it is almost is a and they have செதுக்கி இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு. ஒவ்வொரு கேரக்டரையும் வந்து அப்படி அவ்வளவு நேர்த்தியாக செதுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. அதுல வந்து முக்கியமா வந்து அந்த particularly after the boxer trainer Rangan released from the jail, and where the follower of is a DMK member in a small garland, and only 3 or 4 people went and received, and rather his son is having a very huge mala, but he refused to take it. But when he asked where are the other, and the very subtle, and that is the politics. That is the artist artistic, aesthetically portrayal of the politics. Similarly, how both DMK and ADMK have exploited or used the marginalized working class of Tamils, and also particularly the Chennai, and later completely suppress or negate or denigrate them and made them to this thing. And this is a subtext is very nuanced in understanding Tamil politics, because that is a nobody can have such a nuanced detail. Nobody can give us such a nuanced detail in that film. This is a very important. And above all, what is, and Ranjit from the beginning he used to convey that art is not a sake of art. It is a much larger debate. Terry Eggleton started in Europe and England much earlier. One of the linguistic English professor, Terry Eggleton, made this question whether art is for art or art is for politics. And this debate as culture or a cultural artifact, whatever novel, poetry, cinema, drama, music, all it has its own politics. And one of our very prominent scholar from Maharashtra, the GPT Deshpande. Deshpande is one of the very fine book, Talking Politics Culturally. Talking Politics Culturally is a very nuanced, that where he makes many inference to drama, poetry, and Marathi culture of the folklore culture, and so on and so forth. So likewise, Ranjit, from the second movie onwards, Madras, Kabali, Kala onwards, his politics, portraying of politics, it's very emphatic, and also efficiently making its effort to talking politics culturally. That is Ranjit style. With this, I conclude my initial presentation, and if there is a question and answer, I will come back, because others also need to speak and observe. Though I read almost many of reviews, and I can go on, but I don't want to take much time. And once again, I thank the organizer Tamil Mudalvan and Ariv Samogam for this immediately organizing this webinar in order to celebrate collectively. Thank you so much.